Welcome to Backstage with Richard Ridge. The Netflix film adaptation of Matilda the Musical offers a brand new take on the award-winning, globally beloved musical, which features songs by Tim Minchin, a screenplay by Dennis Kelly, and direction by Matthew Warchus. It'll begin streaming on Netflix on Christmas Day, December 25th, and I caught up with Matthew and Dennis here at Netflix. Well, gentlemen, first of all, the film is absolutely sensational.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
How exciting was it for both of you to sort of regroup along with Tim and put the movie together?
Yeah, it was very exciting, and it was primarily really enjoyable, but it's a big sense of responsibility as well, because you can imagine that, you know, we've got a big attachment to the stage show, and we put a lot of our creative love into that, and we didn't want to be the people that kind of messed it up in this second approach. So I think it was very much a sense of trying to put the same kind of passion, equivalent passion, into a movie version, but also knowing that we had to let go of a lot of the things that we might have loved about the stage show. And you know, it was about 12 years ago that we made the stage show together, Dennis and I and Tim. And that's long enough to actually, for your brain to reprocess stuff and to think differently about things, and to really understand that it makes it easier to let go of things when you've got that amount of time, I find.
Yeah, it was really exciting, but it was also really difficult, like, because it's sort of like there was so much to... we knew we couldn't just do the stage show on screen. We knew we had to sort of try and... If we were to do service to it as a film, then we'd have to try and rework it. So it was really exciting, and then immediately very, very difficult.
Obviously, being able to open up the story, that's the kind of cliche about making a movie, is that you open up things up. And it's cliche for a reason, because you definitely do want to do that. And so, you know, just throwing our imaginations out and saying we could go there and this bit could happen there, and creating a lot of kinetic energy that you perhaps don't need on stage, but you need in film, and different ways of doing that. However, the real thing that was like a remarkable new asset was the close-up. And so when you've got actors who are as great as the actors in this movie, and the script, which is and lyrics and everything, which are so strong, and you get the camera up close to them, you're seeing this emotional journey happening. And sometimes it's like used for comic effect, or it's sort of like with Trunchbull for terror occasionally, those close-ups. But a lot of the time, in thinking about Matilda and Miss Honey particularly, maybe, you're getting the camera, you're getting the audience closer than they've ever seen these characters in the musical version before. And I think that really amplifies the emotional sort of impact of the story.
Yeah. Dennis, for you.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think the getting up close and sort of kind of seeing, you know, being right, really, really, you know, being right up into their faces and sort of seeing what's going on inside, you know. But also as well, it was like, I've got to say, it was nice being able to play with a bigger box of toys, you know, like, so there's at the end of the show, we, you know, the big confrontation between the Trunchbull, at the end of the stage show, the confrontation between the Trunchbull and Matilda sort of really relies on chalk on a chalkboard, really, you know, and we knew we'd have to go bigger than that, but I didn't quite know we'd go as big as we went, you know, and it was really nice to be able to do that, but also to revisit some other themes within the thing in that moment. Anytime you're rewriting something, you can sort of go back and pull out themes and bring, you know, drag them through, you know.
So let's talk about this incredible cast you have, especially your Matilda. Talk about her. You discovered many, many Matildas, Matthew. How did you find her?
Well, there was a casting search for Matilda that was happening during COVID. Obviously, so a casting director and one of my associates went out on the road and went all around the UK, meeting people and doing auditions. But also we got lots and lots of self-tapes in, and thousands of kids for Matilda and the other, you know, featured kids in the story. And so and what was interesting about that is how much talent there is out there. We kind of knew that from the stage show, but it was really reinforced that. So I was watching hundreds and hundreds of tape and really enjoying it. You know, the process, what could be quite an arduous process, was actually enjoyable. And then I saw this tape, self-tape of Alicia, who lives in Dublin, and she sent it in, and she was singing a song from Mary Poppins and doing a poem. And I was really struck by her singing voice first. It's a very strong, powerful. It's not a young voice. It's a really solid singing voice. And then I looked at her, and she seemed like small, and which is great. Obviously, Matilda's got to be small, and all of the sort of basic attributes. Very interesting face, and but very smiley and very cheerful and sort of sunshiny personality, which isn't Matilda. And Matilda's quite an intense, sort of introverted in a lot of the time character. So, and on stage we have a rule that she's not allowed to smile until the bows at the end, the curtain call. So I zoomed with Alicia and I said, "Can we do your song and your poem and read the scene together? And this time can we do it without smiling?" And she did it without smiling, and I straight away thought, okay, that's Matilda. And then she had a whole lot of other skills, which aren't necessarily obvious. It's something we don't even see them on screen. But she's a great listener. So if you wanted to change her performance a little bit, you just say a couple of things to her once, and she'll absolutely change it for the next take, and it will be a bullseye. She'll get it right completely. So she was very fast, which saved us a lot of time, because you weren't doing like 12, 15 takes for her. You do like 2 or 3, and that would be it, and she'd have it. And the other thing, she's got a great supportive family. And that's such an important thing, because to get through such a long process that lifts her out of her normal life, and you need that kind of stability and that support, and to turn up every day, even if she's tired, and to be grounded and to be focused and concentrated. You don't see that on the screen, but you see the benefits of that on the screen in a performance.
So what was that like? Like, talk about that first day on the film set. What do you remember about that first day of shooting? Was it a big production number? What did you do?
The first day was Bruce Bogtrotter eating the cake and that dance number, because we started with a triple revolve laid down, so that number needed, so that we could then strip it out and rebuild that set with a solid floor for the rest of the movie. So we started with all of the trickery in, and in some ways we were starting with a song and dance and a triple revolve, which sounds like a stage show. And so, to a degree, it was me in my element of theatrical, sort of musical staging. But on the other hand, it was 90 kids in COVID, and Trunchbull and Matilda, and a lot of, choreography and music and singing and automation. And so it was full on, definitely full on. And you're aware that, you're being watched as well by executives who are receiving rushes, each day. And so you're having to deliver full on. What was good for Alicia is that she didn't have to... Matilda just watches that whole session with Bruce. She's standing on the stage in the canteen, and she watches. And so she got to see several days of other people working while she was observing in character before the camera turned onto her. And I think that was actually very useful. But it was certainly, we hit the ground running, that's for sure.
Yeah. Dennis, what do you remember about the first day you were on the set?
Well, I wasn't on set very much at all, because for 2 reasons. One is that it was COVID, and really, if you unless you were actually doing something, you weren't allowed on that set. And 2, no one really wants a writer on set on a film. Like, well, what's the writer going to do? But it was I remember going. I was on set the day they did the end of Revolting Children, and I saw Ellen Kane, who is amazing choreographer and did some incredible choreography for this film, as everyone knows by now. But I remember it was a sequence when that ladder's doing a sort of backflip. They're going out of the gate, and they were doing that, and it was just amazing. Like, everyone's just sort of sitting around, there's people fiddling over there, and then someone yells action, and all of a sudden the whole sort of landscape explodes into kids. But what was amazing was Ellen's kind of she had this kind of amazing ability to be really, really almost dangerously firm, but also to be really, really loving. Like, it's a strange sort of thing. I thought it's like a quite strange mixture between Mum and Sergeant Major. Like, at the same time, like, she was really she really cared for those kids and they respected her. They would do what Ellen said, but not because she was scaring them, because they sort of respected her, and it was kind of just amazing to watch, I thought.
Yeah. I understand that Emma Thompson was so lovely to all the kids on this film, right? And they're supposed to be scared of her as her character, right?
Yeah, so we started in that canteen with Trunchbull and all the kids doing Bruce and stuff like that. And between takes, everyone would be like, Emma, Emma, Emma. And they'd kind of gather around her. And she's hilarious. She's one of the most lovely people and funny and big-hearted. And so they're interacting. And I was sort of imagining that I'd gone to great lengths to say that, when Trunchbull comes onto the set, it's really important that it feels like Darth Vader has walked on and everybody's pulse should quicken, things like that. And it's got to be a scary presence. The whole principle of Trunchbull is that she's got to be a powerful, scary presence. So, and that would work, definitely, when she came on, but then it'd be like, Emma, Emma, Emma. so I did at one point, said, maybe, in order to get through this bit, we should maybe detach yourself from the kids just a little bit. But what was great about Emma and her performance as Trunchbull is that actually, between takes, all that was happening. But as soon as there was action, she was completely into the sort of complexity and the darkness and the intensity of the character. And there's a lot of depth in what she's doing as Trunchbull. There's a lot of the exaggeration and the craziness and the quirkiness and the cartoonishness to a degree. But there's this depth as well that makes her a really powerful adversary for Matilda, which is what you want, because if Matilda's going to overthrow evil, that evil's got to be present in the story, and Emma's so good at doing that whole range of things.
Yeah, and then of course is Lashana.
Right.
Lynch, wonderful performance, so beautiful. What it was like working with her.
Well, Lashana came in to meet for the role. And I'd only seen her, she'd actually done some work on stage, which was very successful, but I'd seen her in those sort of formidable film roles that she'd had. And so she came in and she read the scene, and I was really struck by her warmth as a person, and then how she brought that warmth to Miss Honey, and what a beautiful performance she gave, even in that reading. And then she sang, and no one's heard her sing before, but she's got such a lovely singing voice, and it was brilliant. And so I think it really appealed to her to place a character with a vulnerability, in a sense of a wounded character who then becomes a healer, at the end. And I think she really was keen to do that. And she's A, a lovely person, B, a brilliant actor, C, a brilliant singer. So it's the whole package with Lashana.
This musical has been beloved and continues to be beloved by millions and millions of people. I think Tim was telling me there's a production in South Korea right now, or there's productions everywhere playing here. And now people are falling in love with this film. Why do you think people have fallen in love with your musical and now with the film?
I think there's something about Matilda that really draws you in. And the thing I always remember, something that really stayed with me from the book is when he talks about Matilda. I think Dahl pulls off a very clever trick, which is that he says books are great, and then he doesn't keep banging on about books. There's a list of what she reads, and then he gets on with the story, which is great, because it's sort of because who wants to sort of hear someone just keep going on about books? But he sort of he talks about how clever she is, how smart she is. But there's a moment where he says, but the thing is, if you'd have met her, you'd have really liked her, because she's just, you just get the impression she's just an unassuming person, And I think there's something in that. There's something in a hero who's just a very ordinary person. I'm always drawn to writing ordinary people, and I think that's what pulled me towards wanting to write Matilda. But I think that's why we connect with her. We connect with her because she doesn't go, if I had Matilda's powers, you would know about it. I would tell you how brilliant I was. You know what I mean? But Matilda doesn't do that. She just gets on with stuff. And she's kind as well. I think that goes a long way.
Yeah, modest and humble and unassuming and yet so powerful. The name Matilda means mighty in battle. And I think that I've always found that this story about this little tiny kid, pitted against huge forces of Philistinism, really, and cruelty. And it seems impossible that she can triumph over that. But of course, she's got this courage and this sense of what's right, And so her victory is like a very inspiring thing, an empowering thing, I think, for the audience. And whether it's in Dahl's original book or the 1996 Danny DeVito movie or the stage show or this new movie, I think the essence is that this character at the heart of it is a very inspiring character, very, very moving story. And I think it's a story that has always made me laugh and made me cry in kind of equal measure. And I think that's probably why it's been, why its appeal has lasted.
You both worked on some incredible work throughout your career, but how life-changing has Matilda been for both of you, both personally and artistically?
Yeah, I think that I've directed enough things to know that the best work that you do as a director is one where you've got a personal connection with it. And it might be because I found my school years so difficult, and Roald Dahl did as well, and some of that appears in Matilda, that I've got this point of connection, or because I obviously care passionately about creativity, and the creative imagination is what Matilda herself represents, and people try to drill it out of her and say it's rubbish and dismissive of it, but it really is a world-changing thing, imagination, and my life is sort of, in a small way, committed to that idea. So I think, there's the underlying stuff I care about, but it's very rare that you find something which both entertains and feeds an audience in equal measure. You can find the stuff that's entertaining but a bit thin, or you can find stuff that's really nutritious but not very entertaining. And so when you find material, like it's the writing really for me, Dennis's writing, Tim Minchin's writing combined, I think that is, and it does that. It's wonderfully entertaining, uplifting, and it feels like it's politically substantial as well, and personally as well. So it's a whole combination of things I care about, and I wouldn't have got an opportunity to make a film on this scale if it wasn't for Matilda and the success of the stage show. No one would be handing me a film like this with this kind of budget if it hadn't been. So it really is an opportunity that wouldn't have come to me otherwise. And so it has changed me creatively in that way. And I think that, I've really enjoyed the relationship with Dennis and Tim over the years. Weirdly, we haven't fallen out over all this time, which I think a lot of successes that happen in theatre cause a lot of friction between creatives, sadly, and often, and that hasn't really happened. I think we all equally love the material, basically. They love the story. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's not true. No, I think that is true. I think it's hard to sort of say what you've got from it, because you don't really know this is what you've done for the last sort of 10, 12 years. It's been a big part of your life, I think one of the things that's... My work is not really like Matilda in general. It's quite dark and it's quite brooding, and it's quite sort of... it doesn't really make... people don't necessarily give me standing ovations. They sort of kind of think... I don't know if I like life anymore. Yeah, they go home and have a shower. But I've always felt that underneath the sort of dark stuff that I write about, there's a sort of I'm an optimistic person, and I really believe in people. I think humanity is sort of incredible. I mean, we do terrible, stupid things, but we've got no knowledge that if cows had got intelligence, they wouldn't be just as brutal and idiotic as us, you know what I mean? So we also do amazing things like healthcare, and we do incredible things as well. And so I think what's nice about Matilda is being able to sort of exercise that part of myself in a more overt way, and I think I would never have got the opportunity to do that. And it's it's kind of amazing to walk into a cinema and see people really sort of connecting with that thing. And that sounds a bit sort of like... It sounds a bit hippie, you know what I mean? But actually, those sorts of feelings are... You can't. There's not much that beats that sort of that connection, because that's the only reason you're doing it. You're sort of you get into doing these sorts of things because you write something because you think you've got something to say and you think you want to make a connection with people. You direct because you want to make a connection with people, really. So seeing it in a really visceral way is lovely, And these two are all right as well. But that is true, actually. Like, we have actually sort of, like, I feel like they're the people I made this with are friends, and like, they're friends, and I'd like to. They're people I'd like to know for a long, long time. You know what I mean? And that feels good.
So last night you had the New York premiere. I mean, like you said, you should be so proud of this film, both of you and all of you that put your time and energy into this. It's brilliant.
Thank you.
It's such a beautiful, beautiful film. Just what it means to the both of you, to, like you said, to watch an audience connect to this now, the film version of this masterpiece that you both wrote and created.
Well, that Dennis and Tim wrote, and yeah. So I think the directing, what directing really is, if you're trying to define what it is, it's a sort of a time-consuming and elaborate way of saying, I love this. Can you see what's great about it? Do you get it? And so you sort of you feel strongly about the source material that you're given, the script, the material. You work like crazy to present it in a way that the audience will notice how good it is. So when you hear an audience like cheering or clapping at the end of the songs, or clapping a line of dialogue, or just loving, or coming out in tears, or in a theatre, a standing ovation, and things like that, that's basically an audience saying, "Yes, I noticed what was great. You said there was going to be something great about it by putting it on, and I saw it as well. I heard it as well." And so that's when you've got silence and you don't know whether or people didn't notice, or people say, "I didn't think," you do something, you think, "I didn't like it that much," you might have done something else. You think, that's weird because I love it. What went wrong? What went wrong? I couldn't convince you. So yeah, I take it as my job is to try to carry this precious thing across without spilling it, and trying to serve it to somebody. And I thought that last night. I thought, wow, they really get it. And people used to say, Richard, I tell you, people used to say that our version of Matilda in the early days was maybe too British to travel. And do you remember that? People said, it'll be like, I don't know whether the Americans will go for it. And we brought the stage show here, and I think last night we did a screening in New York of the film. That was possibly our best ever screening. Yeah, and it was great to see something travel as well, to reach different people, different backgrounds, different cultures.
Beautiful. Dennis, for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because I'm going to say something that's almost exactly like what Matthew said, because but I've always believed that writing is sort of like what you're doing is you're saying when you write a play, you're in a play takes place in a dark room, and really it's a writer saying, I feel like this, does anyone else feel the same? And if you're lucky, some people put their hands up and go, yeah, I feel like that as well. Mm-hmm. And some people don't, and that's fair. It's okay not for people to go, no, that's you're off your head. But what you're really interested in is the people that do feel the same, because that's who you're talking to. And what's been amazing about this film is, in a really delicate and subtle way, and that most of this is down to Matthew, because I think Matthew's personality is sort of all the way through this film, but it's sort of in a sort of a very subtle way, we're kind of saying this is what we sort of think, and it's really nice when people are going, yeah, we think like that as well, so it's a kind of exciting feeling.
So for both of you, what's great about your film is it begins streaming on Netflix all around the world on Christmas Day, December 25th, where people can watch this anywhere around the world. What that means to the two of you. Dennis.
Well, it's kind of mind-blowing, because it's December the 25th. Something else happens that day as well. What is that? I can't remember. It's quite a special day.
Yeah. No, and also, we've spoken quite a lot today because we're here in New York, and we've met each other on red carpets for Broadway shows before, and we talked a lot about the stage show. But actually, this movie is trying to be for people who love the stage show, not to let them down, and to honour their love of that. But also, it's for people who don't even know there was a stage show, have never been to the theatre. And so there's this opportunity, when it comes out on Netflix, for millions of people to encounter the story for the first time, maybe watch their first musical ever. That could be another amazing thing about the film. So yeah, it's a really exciting opportunity to go that wide with it.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
I so wanted to catch up with all of you today, so this has been really great.
Great, thank you very much.